Thanks again, AK. So 28 years is almost 3 decades. That's really great. So what I get from you is that when you are on your own and and in the sense, I get much of it is actually on your own only, right? In the sense you are not in the corporate, but then you are like an independent executive sourcing and searching. I know I know your specific profile says that you help place returning Indians to CXO kind of. So talk a little bit about that in the sense, how long that theme has been going strong, because generally we hear this brain drain thing, right? So reverse brain drain. When did it really started happening, and how it has been going on?
Okay, fine. Let me go back a little earlier also. Okay, so I mean, I think a lot of our decisions are done more by choices that we make. Okay, and so it took me a while because I'm probably much older than most of you. Okay, I've just finished 58 years old, and back in when I back in school, I hadn't still decided what I should do. Okay, so I was part of Kendriya Vidyalaya. I was lucky to have saddled both things. I did both mathematics and biology. Okay, wasn't too sure as to whether I should be an engineer or a doctor kind of a thing. It's another point that I didn't get either. Okay, and then the next best bet was
Blessing in
becoming an
disguise.
MBA. Beg your pardon?
Blessing in disguise, maybe.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, everything happens for the best. Okay, and I went on to do a MBA, and even the choice of the subjects. I specialized in marketing back in '84, more again by default rather than anything else, not by design. I didn't want to get into finance because that was a bastion of all chartered accountants. I didn't want to go to personnel as it was known then, because those days it was to do with IR, industrial relations, and unions were really scary part. Okay, the third option was operations, which was again a domain where engineers happen to revel in. So I really took the least path, that least difficult path. So I thought I went into marketing. It took me about 8 years of industry experience to realize that this is not something that I'm really enjoying. And those days back in '80s, you picked up the first job which came by your way, and then all said and done, you were stereotyped. Once you're a sales guy, you're a sales guy. Okay, and if you sold fertilizers and pesticides, you are expected to sell only that kind of a thing. And so, whereas I thought I was, a lot more endowed, my personal interests were reading a lot, speaking in English, okay, sharing with people, and even though I had a fairly good corporate career then, uh, I probably wasn't too enthusiastic about it. Okay, and so that's when I started options back in '92, and primarily to help other people find their calling. Okay. In hindsight, it was the best time to get in because '91 liberalization happened and the multinational companies started coming to India, and so job hopping also kind of became um, accepted then. Till then, one used to join a company and you retired. Okay, you probably
You get wedded to a company, maybe. Yeah,
you
that's
were
what.
it, and absolutely, and the owners also was. I mean, it was everything. You were quite happy looking at an annual increment of 28 rupees or something like that, and once in 3 years, you got a promotion if you were in the good books of people, and that was a kind of a thing. So, fortunately, in '92, I started options as more as a recruitment agency to help hire salespeople because that's all I knew. And I must tell you that even then I thought I was an outsider because most recruitment consultants then, most you had to be a MBA HR, and you had a network which you kind of banked on. And being a rank outsider as a sales guy, I always took the path which was untrodden. Okay, so I think that's one pattern. If I were to look at, I think I love to quote that Robert Frost's one. There were uh, two parts in that.
The
Kind
woods were really deep and dark. What that, Robert Frost was it?
Yeah,
The
Robert
wood.
Frost. Exactly, and I took the less trodden path kind of a thing. So
Okay.
'92. Yeah. So initially, I kind of started hiring only salespeople because that's all I knew because I knew that you needed a different temperament to hire salespeople for pharmaceuticals vis-a-vis consumer durables vis-a-vis FMCG. And so I had to understand the business first, understand the culture, and then be able to give the salespeople. So then it struck me that once I did all that, it didn't matter whether I was recruiting only salespeople. So I could also recruit the other people. So that's how the journey began. And this was back in '92. I must tell you that there was no internet or there was no job portals. There was no mobile phone also. Okay. So the sales were totally different. Coming back to the question that you asked about returning Indians and stuff like that, that actually came, again, is not a planned one. It just so happened that we were lucky that sometime post 95, Indian IT industry suddenly became on the global side, globally famous because of the Y2K issue. Okay, and then a whole lot of companies started coming, and they started identifying Indian talent, and everybody who trespassing into Panjagutta or Amirpet became a software engineer, and they were all heading for US. Okay. So I kind of bumped into this website called Return to India in 1998, which was actually just 50 years after our Indian independence, and a whole lot of NRIs used to hang out there and discuss about nostalgically about India, but we were two different worlds. So I was a moderator for jobs there, and that's how I got connected with a whole lot of NRIs and understood their aspirations. And there's always been a complaint that recruiters are very difficult to crack, and nobody responds to. If you advertise and there are a lot of resumes, you don't respond. It's a dark hole responding. So I kind of tried to bridge, because I'm not a typical HR kind of a guy. So I decided I love the part of using internet back. This is again pre-Google days. Okay?
Right.
So that's the reason I kind of got in touch with the NRI's part. And I was lucky in the sense that was a .com boom, and this website Return to India, which I was involved in, though I was a volunteer there, it got bought over by in that boom. Okay, somebody paid $1 million and acquired it, and so soon the database was going out of my hands. So I made a trip to the US back in 2000 and met all these NRIs there. Okay, and that's how the returning Indian segment. So looking back, it's about 20 years. That it's not just, and most of these people who went abroad typically go out after their schooling. Okay, they would have gone for engineering, or then masters, they go to US and then get stuck into the race there. You first try to pay off the loans, then you become a green card holder. By then, the decision to, your roots are not in India. I mean, you just know your family here, but you really don't know much of everything else. So they needed some kind of an anchor, and I thought internet gave me that kind of a glue, which helped me educate people about the changing needs, kind of a thing.
True.
So yeah, I've been in that. So 2000 was a .com boom, which kind of helped me relate to Indians in America. But soon after that, after Google came and Blogger.com and those kind of a thing happened, I was an early adapter of social media. So that too helped me be visible online. So I've been lucky that I've been part of the generation which has seen technology help us to stay connected with people. So first it was a blogging platform, and then sometime 2008-9 the social media became popular, and I've kind of trying to leverage on that. So I guess and since 2012 I've been a BNI member, and I've been fortunate to be part of, again, BNI is a global organization. I've been extremely lucky to be part of a global network there. So I think in hindsight, I can't be really complaining. I've always taken advantage of the technology and globalization, and been trying to take advantage of that.